Hey everyone, Steve here, Fanatic Perspective. Just wanted to give my post-game thoughts on the Texas-Oklahoma State game today. Uh, Another brutal loss, worst possible way, interception at the end of the game. Another overtime game, third of the season. Another overtime game that ends with a turnover against a top 10 opponent. Um, just kind of seemed like deja vu, but in a different, obviously a different manner to end the game, but still the same result. So, going to be getting into to some things here. First off, had an opportunity to go to the game today. Awesome experience, awesome game day experience today. 11 a.m. kickoff, but I thought we did bring some energy there from a fan perspective. I thought we people are hungry. People are really hungry, and you can hear the some of the impatience in a lot of the fans' voices, some maybe even in mine, I don't know, but people just want to see this. People want to see a winner. It's been so long and so much invested into this program, so much invested into these coaches and these players, and the result is, obviously hasn't been coming of that investment yet. But let's get to the game. First off, hats off to the defense. That was a championship performance. Very proud of Todd Orlando and his group. They brought it today. Malik is gone, people. He's gone. He's so good. He his ability to diagnose, read, his speed. There were so many plays where I was telling people sitting next to me, like, there you see the NFL speed. There you see his physicality getting off blocks. He's such a leader and a weapon for us, and again, it's sad to blow a game that a guy like that from a physical perspective that I consider a leader on this team. Gary Johnson, my guy Gary Johnson, my JUCO dude. I think he's a 10'2", 100-meter guy, undersized, but you saw him in there today, number 33, making plays, tackles for loss, scraping off blocks again. You saw some of the same type of speed I just mentioned with Malik. You saw that with Gary Johnson today. Outstanding performance. Holton Hill, outstanding performance. He's all Big 12 at this point. It might even be in the running for Small American honors as far as I'm concerned. He's having a great season. Matched up with James Washington today, probably the most accomplished receiver in the country, and he won his matchup decisively, in my opinion. He was outstanding at the point of attack in the run game, sweeps, anything that came out to his side, tackling in the open field. Holton Hill has been the total package in the run game and pass game. Much maligned Chris Boyd on the other side. Great job today as well. Much better from OU. We actually had a couple players that had a brutal OU game and rebounded. Chris Boyd being one of them. Did a good job with his technique, keeping his outside shoulder free, getting some PBUs, just being active, knowing he's going to get attacked. On that field side, he did a great job. Breckenhager, another guy who had a tough OU game when it came to making the play. Brecken had a great game today of making those adjustments, whatever he needed to do, and making those plays. Now, I know Mason is not as mobile and as shifty as Baker was last week, but Brecken did a great job today, and I was so happy to see him get a lot of playing time today. Obviously, the nature of facing the Oklahoma State offense, where everything is so spread out, we had to pretty much go with our third down, NASCAR, whatever package you want to call it, having them out there with Taquan Graham and Jeffrey McCulloch. Brecken brought today, scraping off blocks again, fighting through, getting off and never giving up on the play and getting home a couple times. Great job today. What more can we say about this defense? You hold the number one offense in the country to 13 points, only 10 points in regulation. You'd think you'd win the football game, right? Nope. That's where this offense comes into play. And that's where even going into overtime, after holding them to a field goal, opportunity to win the football game, not even just to tie, but to opportunity to win the game. We get down to the 6 yard line, and we have our first turnover in I think 2 games. Just I love Sam. I watched Sam since his sophomore year at Westlake, especially being a local Austinite like myself. Uh, I felt vested in this young man's development, and I do more than ever right now because you got to take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, he's carrying a large burden on his shoulders that no freshman should be carrying, especially for a team that wants to be successful. And I don't think we're in that place right now. I think we're clearly, again, rebuilding, which nobody wants to hear. But, I was told these coaches were brought here to win. Now that is not the case. So going back to Sam, though, all that being said, he's got to throw that football away. There's no play there to be made. I think he was trying to throw it to Dorian Leonard, who was coming across the back of the end zone. I know some people have said he was trying to throw it back upfield to Gerard Hurd. I don't see that. Gerard Hurd was out of bounds. So even if he miraculously, goes his way behind the dude, he's, that's illegal touching. So you got to put that ball in, you got to know when to fold him. Like that I think it's the Kenny Rogers commercial. I mean, you gotta know when to fold him, Sam. I'm sorry. And again, that also reflects the mentality of our head coach sometimes, because now today, Tom Herman did a much better job with the clock management. And not just clock management, but managing when to go for it, when not to go for it. Much better job today. So, but the mentality in the past is he's gotten almost too aggressive. And I think that mentality has trickled into your quarterback. You want to be aggressive, but you want to be smart. And especially in a game, you have to have a feel for the game, knowing that you're in a defensive slugfest, which is uncommon in the Big 12. You thought you would be watching a Big 10 game if you didn't know the teams. You have to be aware that, hey, we're going to have to kind of ride this one out, because if we go to another overtime, maybe the defense gets a turnover. The way they were playing and how on it they were with the Mike Gundy offense, anything could have happened. So not having that situational awareness and just a careless turnover. It was just flat out careless. And Sam will tell you that. I mean, even though he's a freshman, that's a mistake he can't make at any level of football, and he knows that. And he'll learn from it and grow from it. Tim Beck, I know he's going to be under a lot of heat this week. I've been critical of him as well. A lot of us were really skeptical of that hire to begin with. And as I always discuss with the Cowboys, you can't let coaches off the hook that, deal with injuries. I know Connor Williams isn't there. I know Elijah Rodriguez, and we've had all this turnover on the offensive line, even losing Patrick Hudson earlier in the year. All these guys still can't be an excuse why you can't get the run game somewhat figured out. Still can't be an excuse where the short passing game go that we had earlier in the season. All these things that we could do somewhat well. It seems to have gone. We've actually regressed offensively, especially as teams are figuring out what we're doing, as teams are getting more tape on Sam and figuring out his strengths and weaknesses. There was way too much quarterback sweep today, and they've completely fallen in love with that, which I really don't understand for several reasons. Number one being the health of the quarterback. I feel like you have to monitor, how many hits he takes. You only have 2 scholarship QBs on your roster, and then the other one, in Shane Buechele, is a completely different type of style for what you want to do. I also just thought it was just generally ineffective against Oklahoma State's defense. Their team speed, they were on it. They clearly understood it. Tim Beck has to have a feel for that in that moment and say, all right, we got to go away from that. We got to go with more power and try to manufacture something with our running backs. I don't know if we really could have utilized the screen game today, but really didn't see it, and that was something we did have success with against Oklahoma. I thought, missing Colin Johnson, not consistent. I mean, I didn't agree with that decision. Just what we're doing with our wide receivers, I don't get it. This is such a talented group, And really, the only big play today, I was happy to see John Burke get an opportunity today. But that's the other thing about the offense. If you take away his 90 yards, we had less than 200 yards of offense today in a game that went beyond 4 quarters. Unacceptable, especially with when you go out and hire an offensive head coach to compete in the Big 12. And the irony in that is we hired before a defensive coach, and ended with our offense being pretty good and our defense being behind. Now it's flipped. But this offense it's bad. It's bad. There's no other way around it. We have so much on the plate of a true freshman. He's responsible for every single decision. As a quarterback, you're responsible for every decision, but everything is on his shoulders. There's no back he can hand the ball to 20 or 30 times and say, hey, help me out. We don't have any go-to receivers established. We don't have any tight ends that are consistent. Cade Brewer will be good. We haven't seen Reese Slatel yet. I think they're probably redshirting him at this point, but and I know we have another JUCO guy coming in, but the burden is so much on Sam, and these coaches have to figure out a way to alleviate some pressure moving forward. The conversation has now shifted to trying to get to a bowl game. It's just more of the same. It's tough as a UT fan to hear that year in, year out, especially when you know that the physical talent on this team is as good, if not better, than everybody you're competing with. You watch that game today. It's like Oklahoma State, and shout out to Mason Rudolph, Gundy, and all those guys. They coach them up. They don't get the cream of crop high school talent, but they get guys that work for them, that fit their program, and they develop them. And that's what we've been lacking. We haven't developed guys and really get them to buy into our system and produce wins. But you watching that game today, just not knowing the two teams, we're even at the minimum. And honestly, we probably had more team speed and physical talent. I would even say the same in the Oklahoma and USC games. That's where we are. We have elite physical talent and tools and speed and things, the recipe there to win. They just don't know how to win. They don't know how to close, and it's so frustrating. That's why you're finding these new waves. We're getting into these overtime games, 3 already this year, and we've only won 1. I think the Kansas State game. So we have to get back to the drawing board yet again. They got to beat Baylor. I mean, that goes without being said. I think they're 0-6 or 0-7 now. I don't know, but got to get that W back on the board. Get back to 500. I think 3-2 in the Big 12 if we beat them. But just another wasted opportunity today. I mean, right now coming into this game, we were outside of TCU. Everybody that was at the top only had 1 loss in the Big 12. So this was a really, really a big loss. And that's why I said in last week's video, I don't take anything away with moral victories anymore. At this point, especially with so many, that 2015 class, those guys are juniors. So many guys in the 2016 class played. There's game experience here. Oklahoma State's starting a redshirt freshman corner, and I think a sophomore on the other side. There's, the teams we're going up against, it's not like we're going up against teams that are senior-laden groups all over the place. They're coaching guys up and getting ready to play. We have to do the same. But those are just my quick thoughts coming out of the game. Again, an awesome fan experience today. I always love going to DKR. Getting out there tailgating, and it's the reason why I moved to Austin. I love it, but I do want to see my Horns win and have that breakthrough. I think an opportunity later in the season, I think the first week in November will be that TCU game, maybe to have that breakthrough victory in the Tom Herman era. But hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake that Charlie did with Sean Watson and Vance Bedford and holding on to guys. Sometimes you just got to know right away when you made a personnel mistake and move on from it. And I'm not saying we're at that point with Tim Beck, but we're getting there. If anybody that's seen this offense this year, knowing the physical talent that's there, even without the tackle, even with the tackles being gone, has to be better. Has to be get corrected. And I feel like I'm saying the same thing now over and over every single week. So before I get too frustrated, as always, hook 'em horns. Gotta get that on the camera. Hook 'em horns, and hopefully we can get a dub next week, and this will be a more happy, reflective win video. I want to make a win video, so please give me that opportunity. Tom, please, Texas, give me that opportunity. Hook 'em. Thank you.